Oh man, we got Skip coming in today. Right on, right on. West Coast. West Coast DX. Okay, so again, we're back to the Redco FC40 project. Real quick, I already did a video on this, but since I did that video, this has had a lot of bench time. This has been cooking on the bench for days. Of course, I turn it off at night, but you know, I never leave this stuff unwatched. But anyway, one thing about this device is it runs really hot. This row of ICs along the top here, they put out a lot of heat. I believe those are for the drivers, or the display drivers for the LEDs, so that kind of makes sense. And then this 5-volt regulator on the back here gets pretty warm, but when you put the cover on this thing, and let her run for 6 to 8 hours or whatever, it gets pretty darn hot. Okay, let's say warm. Anyway, so in playing around with it, the switch finally let go here. So this puppy's toast. I don't dare to try to operate this switch with it powered up. So we're gonna have to replace it. I'm out of on switches apparently. I had an on-off on, but obviously that's not gonna work. So I made a little Amazon order. Now I've ordered toggle switches off Amazon before and other parts as well, and I've probably had about an 80% success rate, so I figured, what the heck, because I mean, you can always send them back, right? But anyway, got some Amazon switches here. I was going to do a DigiKey or a Mauser, but gosh, and what you'd pay just for shipping, I could just buy those, and I'm Amazon Prime, so it doesn't matter. So I got these for like under $7, I think it was. All of them work. I believe that was 10 switches for like $6.95 or something like that. I don't know, but anyway, and yeah, I measured everything, and like this barrel's just a hair shorter than the other one, but the way that Redco does this, I've got a little bit of room here, so a little bit of wiggle room. So we're gonna have to take this puppy off. Always use a nut driver on these, and I'm very, very, very careful as to not let the nut driver rub up against the plexiglass. So we're going to take these screws off, we'll take this front plate off, and we'll go from there. And boy howdy was I wrong. Yeah, this plate doesn't come off. This switch just pulls right out of here. Okay. So before I start, out of habit, I take a few pictures. Right? I know this is just super, super simple, but what's happened to me in the past is the phone will ring or the dogs will start barking. Somebody's at the door. I've always been in the habit of taking a picture of stuff before I start. I started doing that back with my first digital camera, my first Olympus, and it just works, just kind of a habit. All right, so we've got this new switch installed. Just got through working 1220 out there, Golden Gate. There he is, big strapper. All right, I took this switch out, and basically what I did was I desoldered this side and went to resolder the wires back in there, but those holes in that switch are actually a little smaller, and I should have really thought about that. I mean, you know, there was solder in there anyway, so it was bigger. So what I did is basically I just cut the ends, rebent them, and soldered them in. Now, one thing on these new, God, I wish we could make switches in America again, but I've run up against this on some of these cheap Chinese switches. You got to get off the pen. You got to get in there and get out. Don't sit there and lay that tip or that pen on any of these lugs, because it'll ruin these switches. They'll just wiggle around, and I have seen them to where they do this, you know, where they actually either jam up or they get screwed up like this one did. So get in, get out, and that's basically what I did. I just basically snipped the soldered ends off, stripped them, and set them back in, and got in and got out with the pen. And so here we are. you know what? I need to install this now. And I was looking at this. I can put a couple of these star washers in here and get about the same thick, well, almost the same thickness as this standoff. Because basically what I'm trying to do is I want this aftermarket switch to sit in there like the OEM switch did. So I'm getting pretty close. So before I did any of the soldering, I just kind of played around with different spacing and stuff and found that a nut, if I use the nut like they did on the OEM one, it is just a hair too short. So there's just like maybe 1 or 2 threads difference, maybe just 1.5 threads difference in the length of these shafts. I mean, it's very minute, but enough to drive me nuts. So before I mount it in, let's hook it up and fire it up. Are we going to see smoke? I don't know. So we've got 12 volt bench power to it. Fingers crossed, boys. Generally, I'm not worried about ruining something because I can usually repair it. I mean, you know, I'm a part swapper, but not sure about how easy it is to get these parts. All right. Let's flip that switch. Here we go. That's what we're looking for. So let's see what that looks like. That is, let me put my bubbles glasses on. Trying to see, that's showing a little bit. I mean that's pretty close. I mean, I'm cool with that. I guess I could put another star washer in there. See, that's what I'm talking about. See how much of that thread is showing versus the OEM. Kind of guide it in there and just give her a quick cinch, right? Without trying to kiss up to that glass. There we go. That's in. That is in. Looking good. I'm not sure which look I like. Back in the day, you used to be able to get these toggle switch covers from Radio Shack, but the problem was they'd always come off, right? This switch is toast anyway, and I know I don't have one of those Radio Shack ones laying around. Yes. Got some plier marks on it, but biscuits. You know, I didn't even think about seeing if that had dirt on it. And look at that. Look at there. Gosh darn it. Well, whatever. This other one's kind of funky and dirty. Hey, this is like 1970 something material here. So there it goes. All right. Yeah, see, that one turns a little bit, but you know what? That's cool. All right. There we go. Okay, we're all powered up. I've got the trusty old 138 XLR on. I've got the power hooked up to both these devices, antennae and everything, so we're good to go. We're going to test it out. Again, this is not like a lab spec counter. This is not a counter I'm going to do alignments with or anything like that. The sole purpose of this counter is just an inline counter with my watt meter. So when I put a radio on the bench for just a quick test, you know, just a check all modes and functions type test, I've got a counter already there, so I haven't had a dedicated counter in probably a couple decades. So this counter is cold and so is the radio. So let's do this. Let's see what we're looking like. So the old 138, it's roughly around center slot. I can't tell at this angle. It looks to be center slot-ish, so we'll see. Okay, it's a 5-digit counter, which is perfect for what I want to do. However, with the flick of a switch, we can turn it into a kind of a 6-digit counter. So anyway, let's go. 27.255, that's right. That's what this radio is supposed to be on. There we go. There we go. Yada, yada, yada. Okay, let's go another decimal place down here. All right. So now what we're looking for is 27.2550. Probably not. All right, let's see. Dynamic's off. Yeah. All right, well, anyway, the radio's cold. Actually, they're both cold, but that's cool. Let's see where we're at right here. So there's 0. So when the radio heats up, when the radio warms back up, this radio does do that. When the radio warms up, it goes back up here. And you know what? That's kind of like old school Cobras. They were, 150 cycles off, 200 cycles sometimes off when they're cold. They get up to working temperature. They stay on frequency, and yeah, they're pretty stable. So anyway, that's pretty cool. I'm pretty happy with that. You'll be seeing that in the background of videos down the road. Anyway, thanks for watching, you guys. Please leave questions or comments down below. Cheers. Y'all have a super fine one out there.